91.7 FM, and I have somebody I have not seen in quite a while in here. Introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about you.
Hey, Shelly.
Hey.
Well, you know me quite well.
I do.
My name is Russell Holloway, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida, and I also practice up in Georgia, in beautiful Savannah, Georgia, as well. At Magnolia Springs Family Practice there, just a shout out to my colleagues that work in Savannah. But I love Daytona Beach. You know, we moved up to Savannah 2 years ago when our kids went off to college, and just kept feeling in my heart that, you know, we still had work to do down here in Daytona, and we couldn't get our house sold. And
well, that God does whatever he can to keep you, right?
Right. And he couldn't get the house sold, and we have the counseling center on the ground floor.
Right.
And so we decided to start putting new energy into the counseling center. And then that kind of led to us merging with Creation Counseling. So Jess Gibson, she started off as our office manager back in, I think it was in 2015 maybe. And then she went to school, got her master's degree in counseling, became a counselor, practiced at our practice. And then I told everyone that I was moving to Germany, which didn't work out. And because
don't you love it when we say what we want to do?
Yeah.
And then God's got a totally other plan.
Totally different plan. Like, we were so ready. We had already sold property. We were packed, ready to go. And then we found out we couldn't get health insurance because we had aged out of their health insurance. And
really? There's
program.
such thing as that?
There is. So, like, the Germans have really generous health insurance, but what they don't want is people waiting until they're old and then going there and accessing it. So it became problematic. So we ended up moving to Savannah, a city we always have loved and felt close to. And, you know, but when we left, she opened Jess Gibson, she opened her own counseling practice called Creation Counseling. And it's just been doing awesome. You know, it's great. I think it's the best counseling.
I think everybody needs counseling.
I think everyone does. I honestly think Creation Counseling is the best counseling center in Volusia County. And so when I told her when we were coming back that I wanted to reopen our counseling center, and she made the offer to join her practice, we would become the Daytona Beach Creation Counseling. I was like blown away. I nearly started crying because literally it was on my heart to ask her, like, you know, I would love to join with Creation Counseling, but I knew because of our close relationship and our history that if I asked her, she might say yes, even if she didn't want to.
Yep. I understand how that goes.
So I literally in the morning I was praying, and I said, God, if it's in your heart that we join with Creation Counseling, Jess will ask us, and I won't hint or anything.
Right.
And that day,
you were mature.
That day, she we got on the phone with each other for something completely different, and she said, "Hey, you know what? I've been thinking. What if we merged the two counseling centers?" And it nearly like anyone knows me in my office, I always lay on the couch when I'm talking on the phone when the door, the counseling office, when no one else is in the office, and I nearly like rolled off the couch. I was so excited. Yeah. And so we're in the process of making that happen. So that'd be November 15th when that becomes official.
That's before you know it.
I mean, we're already operating together. We're already doing a lot of things together. And I'm already, like on my advertisements and stuff like that, I'm already advertising as Creation Counseling, but it'll become official November 15th. We're super
How long have you been
a
counselor? Because I've known you forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a second career for me. You know, I was more in the business world before, and then I went back to school to become a counselor when I was 37 or 38 years old. And then I finished my degree when right at my 40th birthday. And then we opened up Port Orange Counseling Center back in the day. And so I've been practicing now for 16 years.
Seems so much longer than that. I guess because it time just goes, doesn't it?
It does. In some ways, you know what they say? They say, the days go short and the years go fast, or the days go slow and the years go fast. And I think there's some truth to that. I've been thinking a lot about, that's part of why I came to talk to you today is about Love Rewrites History.
I love this.
And, I was thinking, okay, I'm 56 years old. So in another 25 years, I'll be 81 years old. And, you get to the point where if you make it to 81, you're a little lucky. At least if you make it and you're healthy.
Agree. Yep.
you know?
No, I totally agree with that
Yeah.
because we just turned 40 here. And at first I was like, I'll be here another 40 years. And I'm thinking, that'll be 103. Now, I do come from good genes,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking, that's pushing it, Shelley, to become to WAPN.
Well, you haven't changed since I met you 15 years ago. You look
well,
the same.
thank you.
So I think
appreciate
you
that.
can do it. I think you should shoot for 105.
Okay, 105. That's
Yeah.
it. Okay.
And then
Russell
retire.
has spoke today. We'll do 105.
Well,
but you know, I could keep coming in.
Yeah.
You know, my parents came into the day that the Lord took them home.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that part. But you wonder, would you still want to do it? And I love it that you said you've been thinking about, because like I've been reinventing WAPN. You've got to stay current and you've got to stay with what's going on. And you've got to constantly be willing. And that's hard, isn't it, as you get older too?
yeah. I mean, you have to definitely pace yourself. You got to take care, self-care. Got to
Big on that.
eat right.
Oh, yeah.
You got to sleep right. You got to take care of yourself spiritually, make sure that you're doing that you're in God's will for your life, and you're taking care of that. If you do all those things, then God's going to use you no matter what, but it's a lot easier if you're doing it in a healthy way.
Yes.
I believe.
Well, so do I. I mean, I ride my bike. I try to drink all my protein drinks. I try to have so much water a day. I try to do all the things. And I actually do feel better now at 63 than I probably did at 40. Not that there was something wrong, but I feel like I just am more ready to go.
Right. One thing, the biggest thing I've started to do recently for health is I was reading a study, like people that live to 110, super centenarian or whatever it is, for if you live to be 100 years plus a little bit more, 110. What do they have in common? They were trying to look at their diets,
right,
and their lifestyles and stuff, and they couldn't find any particular diet or lifestyle that could explain what they had in common.
Okay.
But the only factor that they correlated to was most of them only ate one time a day throughout the course of their life. And
really?
Yes. And so there's something about fasting or intermittent fasting and what it does to your body, how it, you burn more ketones than sugar when you're burning energy. Your brain likes ketones
now, do you
better.
do that?
I've just started doing it.
It doesn't count my 5 hours I sleep, right?
It counts when you're sleeping. So what I try to do is I basically right now what I'm doing is I'm fasting for 20 hours and then I eat in a 4-hour window, all my food for the day. And at first it's hard, but you start to feel really great. And so this idea of eating once a day, that humans really are, we're designed to not eat as a way for our body to reset itself,
Interesting.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm not here today. I'm just
no, but you know what?
bringing it up,
It's funny that why you're here today is because I, in the last couple of years, you don't know about this, but I forgave somebody.
Nice.
That I was in a very, very terrible, for years and years and years and years, relationship with. And one day God just said, you need to forgive. And I'm thinking, well, who do I need to forgive? I got that little attitude that you get. And he said, I just want you to say this out loud. Right. And so I did that and I felt better. And I felt like, it had been released. But then he set it up for me to actually go talk to the person.
Wow.
And I got to go see the person, and I actually got to talk and hug, and everything is perfectly fine. Walked out of the building, there was double rainbows, and it was just really cool. And last night, not even 24 hours ago, like 12 hours ago, I got to talk to the best friend of that person.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I honestly have no woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda. God totally, whatever we had wrong with each other, God just healed.
Yes.
And she goes, and that's how she feels also.
Yeah.
And I thought,
Amen.
how neat was that I got that experience at like 7:00 last night, that I got to hear from the other side. I knew that we were okay because we've been able to talk and see each other since then. But hearing it from an outsider, that we truly forgave each other and it worked.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, forgiveness is so powerful. I want to make clear, I'm a Christian. I follow Jesus. I try to do the best I can to stay in his will for my life. And of course, Jesus commands us to forgive, and he commands us to love our enemies. But there's so much research, even in the secular world, how powerful forgiveness is. Like, there's real science backing up the healing power of forgiveness. When we forgive, it does set us free emotionally and sometimes physically. Now, there's a difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. If someone's dangerous or they're, there's ongoing the potential for abuse, forgiveness doesn't mean that we have to put ourselves in the path of that. It takes, I always like to say to my clients, it only takes one person to forgive. You can forgive the other person
without even talking to them.
Without even talking to them. But it takes two people to reconcile. So just because you forgive someone doesn't mean that you have to have Thanksgiving dinner with them.
Totally. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because once I did it, I was set free. Okay. And I never thought we were going to see each other. The pathways, whatever. And when it was actually a funeral, and God put it all together, and of course the devil's a liar, and everything that could go wrong for me to get there went wrong. Okay. The weather was crappy. I got lost, everything that could happen. And then when I walked in the room and I was able to actually talk to the person, it was amazing. It was amazing. And when I left there, I just knew that God set that up, because that was like an enemy to me. That was like a thorn in my side. That was for all those years. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of it was my fault.
Right.
Totally, because I was a brat. I'm just going to tell you, I was a full-on brat.
So you were even taking responsibility for you contributed
to it.
Yep,
I sure did. And I owned it. And now that I can say I love unconditionally, it really makes a big difference when you can honestly say you love unconditionally.
Love really has the power to rewrite history.
It does. And I think that you need to kind of write down and look back at your life and say people that have wronged you or you fought with, whatever the thing is, and just kind of go through. If you went through one a month and said, I'm sorry, for whatever part I had in this.
Right.
And we were even talking about right before we went online, I have a niece that we haven't seen in years or know anything about.
Right.
And I would love for somehow, I'm putting it out there, somehow she just send a text or a call and just say, I'm alive.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a thing that she put me in the middle of, and it got ugly. And I had to, for my health, step out of it. But, I need to love her unconditionally no matter what the reason was.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like what your whole thing is about, isn't it?
Yeah. So we started this new organization. It's something that has literally been on my heart for years. I mean, maybe 10 years or more, that I would periodically tell my family, I have two boys, Lucas and Tristan, who I'm super proud of. Great young men.
I know.
And my wife, Daniela, who's in Savannah today. She's probably, I don't know if she's listening to this live.
She can watch it back on YouTube
she
or
can watch
Facebook.
it back on YouTube. And, I would say periodically, you know what our country needs? We need a national day to love your enemy. And people, they would be like, why would you want to do something like that? And I said, because it's a way to get people thinking about love, thinking about forgiveness, and
to be set free.
And be set free, but also just how it diffuses a situation. I'm a therapist, and I work a lot with couples, a lot with families, and even the individuals I work with. 90% of the time when people come in for counseling, it's because a relationship has gone south, or there's tension in a relationship, or something they're doing, like if they're struggling with drugs or
but
alcohol,
it's still all part of it.
Relationships always re-enter it. And just this idea that when we slow down and take serious the things that Jesus taught us about loving our neighbor, loving our brother and sister, loving our enemies, basically loving everyone, and what that actually means, how that starts to change our society. And so I would say what we need is a day to kind of recognize that.
We recognize everything else. Why can't we recognize loving your enemy?
I mean, obviously we want people to love every day.
Right.
But having a special day kind of gets us invited to come and talk to you,
totally. I agree. No.
So we just kind of picked October 10th.
I was going to say, is there a reason for October 10th?
Yeah, I mean, so there's not like a particular reason for October 10th other than I didn't want to do it in the summer because I wanted to make sure it was like during school.
Okay.
And also on like the liturgical calendar for like the Catholics, Episcopalians, and the Orthodox Christians, I didn't want it to be during the holiday season. So I wanted it to be during kind of the regular, ordinary, what they call the ordinary time of the year. And so I said, well, October's pretty wide open, except for you have Halloween at the end of October.
But we need to be loving going into that.
Yeah, we got to pray it up and get ready. Yeah. And so we just thought October, it's also 10/10. So I thought that would be a good, just a good way to remember it. And, so we picked October 10th. And then this year, I just, I was like, okay, this year we're going to do it. After Charlie
And it's
Kirk,
funny, 10 years, you've been thinking about it.
Yeah.
10.
10,
I mean,
10.
look at all the 10s.
Right.
And then after Charlie Kirk.
So after Charlie Kirk was killed, that's when I started seeing like, oh man, right after he was shot, I was like, oh, this could get ugly. There's the potential here for violence. And it turned out to be the opposite. Mm-hmm. But at the time I was like, okay, what can we do where all people on both sides of the issue where they intersect. Mm-hmm. I really believe in my heart that everybody wants peace.
Totally.
Everybody wants what's best for the community. Everyone has, in some ways, the same intention. Mm-hmm. They just have way different ideas on how to go about that.
Right. Well, because for me, I didn't understand, and I know I've been a Christian forever, that I could be one-sided and say, I forgive. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like my mom used to always say, just say the name of Jesus, Shelley, and he'll just show up. And I'm like, okay, Mom. Do you know that I've realized that more and more over the years,
Yeah.
And so I knew the idea of saying it out loud and just really releasing the forgiveness, okay?
Yeah.
But actually doing it and thinking it are two different things.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, one day God just kept on, I could just hear his audibly voice saying, this is the day. This is the day. And I thought, the day for what?
Yeah.
And then it happened and I was like, wow. And I did not realize that I had carried that with me all those years.
Oh, yeah.
And why did I carry it with me? There was no even reason. But what happens is we get our feelings hurt or pride gets in the way or whatever it happens to be of that day. And we don't even realize. And it's like the biggest thorn in your body that you're picking away at, you can't get out.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea, love your enemy. I think that it should be everywhere. I think we should, when I do National Day of,
yes.
I hope to see that.
Well, I mean, we have really high ambitions. This first year, our goal is to get 10,000 signatures. By the end of the second year, we would like to have 100,000 signatures, and we have this 25-year plan to get 1 million signatures.
So how does somebody become part of it? Or is there a plan?
Easy. Yeah. So you can. We just started a week ago, a week and a half ago. So we're still ramping up. So we just mostly been talking to friends and people we know, asking them to sign up or sign the petition, which you can go online and sign it. So if you go to www.loverewriteshistory.com.
I love the name.
Yeah, loverewriteshistory.com. And that's our website, and that will lead you to the petition where you can just sign it right online.
And that's neat.
And so what we really need is people to sign it. So please, if you can do it right now and sign it, and then also share it with your friends.
Does this QR code work too if they...
It does. So this card that I gave you, on this side, it is... the website where you can get more information about us, myself and Jeremy Folmsby, who I want to talk about in a moment. And then the QR code with a coffee cup, that goes directly to the petition.
Of course it would be a coffee cup.
Yeah. Because I love coffee.
I know you do.
It's my only vice I still have. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, how did you and Jeremy just decide this? I know that...
Well...
Is he a counselor or what is Jeremy?
No, Jeremy's just a very close friend, and he's been involved in ministry his whole life. Even the things he does, like when he had a construction business and he's just re-entered that, he's always has a very strong mindset towards serving God, mentoring young men within the context of the work he does. He's very kingdom-minded, and he's also really like a little wacky, like I am. It sounds a little when you
Two peas in a pod.
When you tell people hey, we're starting this petition to have a national day to love your enemy, people think you're a little silly or a little crazy.
And also they think because they didn't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But Jeremy and I, we've been friends a long time, and it's just something we would talk about periodically. And he, years ago, he said, well, if you ever get serious about that, let me know. I'd love to help. And so, about a month and a half ago, I said, hey, I'm ready to really do this. Would you want to help? And he said, absolutely. So we have almost daily contact. I wouldn't say daily, but nearly daily contact on it. And we meet whenever I'm in Florida. And so he's been great because we have a really good work. We work well together. So,
now, how do you want to get it out there more? I mean, because it is something new. It's not new, but it is new because everybody needs to love their enemy.
Yeah.
But it's also like a new concept of doing the signatures. Now, why is it so important to go and sign it?
Well, because when we sign it, when more people sign it, then politicians, community leaders, pastors, they will start to support it also.
Okay.
Right now, we have very low support from people in leadership positions because they're still trying to figure out where we're coming from. Like they're,
What's your angle?
Well, leaders like church leaders, community leaders, politicians, they're still waiting to see, like, are we,
Legit.
do we have a political agenda? And we don't. We're just for this petition. But when people start signing it and we start reaching a certain level of signatures, then politicians and leaders will start to recognize it, and that will...
It's kind of like the algorithms and stuff, like any social media and stuff you do. Once you hit this platform, then it's a little bit better. Once you hit this platform, it's a little bit better. As soon as I saw it and I read the name, I knew exactly what it meant in my heart.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it was a no-brainer for me. And I was like, I'm texting you and getting a hold of you because I think it is important. The way you have to do anything is have a conversation.
Yeah.
And you have to talk about it. And you have to see that it's no agenda. It's just to show people you got to love your enemy.
Yeah.
You gotta forgive.
And the benefits of it, and that loving your enemy is not passivist, it's active. It's a way to actually get things done. It's a strategy. It's an active strategy that God gives us to...
Open the door.
To open the door to what's good, to heal wounds, and to de-escalate, things that are, destructive to our community. Like I see a lot of my Christian brothers and sisters really controlled by fear. And so the Love Your Enemy Day and Love Rewrites History is a message of hope to believers. But it's also a message of hope to people that don't know about, don't follow Jesus or don't know what the Bible actually teaches about love. Their only understanding of Christianity is what they hear through the political lens. And that can get a little distorted at times. And so this gives them another idea. Like when you say, well, do you know that Jesus actually taught us to love each other and not to just intellectually love each other, but actually feed and give water to and give care to our enemies. And in this way, he becomes active and he helps us. Now, also, like in the petition, I encourage people to read it. We say that, this is not a pacifist movement where we're saying that we're just going to let people run over us or hurt us or anybody for that matter. You have the right to defend yourself. You have the right, and maybe even you could say the obligation, to work against wrong. But we need to do it with a posture of love in our heart. And a posture of reconciliation is always being open and a possibility, and not dehumanizing and not letting hate control our actions. Like what we're doing, we need to do it through the lens of love.
Well, I think of that when we talk about Charlie Kirk. One of the things I loved about him is he put down his mic.
Yeah.
And people go, what do you mean he put down his mic? He'd be having a conversation, and when it was your turn, he put down the mic.
Right, to signal he's going to listen.
Yes, and I think that is kind of the whole thing about love your enemy. It's not you're not just saying let's be partners and be together all the time. You're saying we need to release the love. We need to give the forgiveness. That doesn't mean we have to be best friends, but it does mean we would need to do life together, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
We all have to do life together.
Well, we have to. We're no one's going anywhere.
Right.
Like you can say that, this political party is in control now, that party was controlled before. But if you really think about it, no one's going anywhere.
No.
So if we're going to get along, we have to change our mindset. We have to learn. And the only way we're going to get along and prosper is if we learn to love each other.
So how do we do it again? I know I asked you a couple minutes ago, but because people are tuning in, we got 3 more minutes, so I want you to say it again.
Just go to www.loverewriteshistory.com, and that'll take you to our webpage. Read that, follow the petition, and then sign the petition, and then share it.
Sharing's very
Sharing
important.
is the most important thing you can do, is share it. Follow us on social media, especially Facebook, and we have a Facebook group. And we're really excited about this. And I definitely, another thing is, I'd love to come back and talk to you about the marriage workshop I'm going to be having.
I know. I wanted to hear about that too, but we ran out of time. So yes, we'll reschedule you for that too. But this was just like I said, when I saw this and it was just like a little blurb, I knew exactly in my heart what it meant.
Yeah.
You know, and I was literally doing something else, and I'm texting. I don't even know what I text because I was like doing 14 things, but it was such. It walked me back to that day that I forgave.
Yeah.
And that I loved my enemy.
Right. And I can hear the emotion in your voice right now because it was such a powerful experience.
And I want everybody to have that powerful experience. I really do. Every single person out there, you might not realize it, you have some kind of enemy. You do.
Yeah.
If it's your neighbor that you got mad at because they did something, or the person walking the dog, or the man that rode across the road in front of you, or whatever. You know?
An enemy doesn't have to be someone who's trying to kill you. An enemy could just be a business competitor.
Yes.
It could be a sibling rival. It could be, your neighbor, or it could be
the man that just pulled out in front of you when you were trying.
Just pulled out in front of you, and so.
And you take that on, and that ruins your moments.
Right.
And that's literally, to me, what an enemy does. No matter what form it comes in, it takes away the joy of the moment.
Right.
And so I love this.
Love rewrites our history. It changes how we see the past. It changes how we see the past. It changes how we see the present, and it changes the future. That's why we say love rewrites history.
Well, tell us one last time, and then we're out of here.
Okay. www.loverewriteshistory.com.
And go there. Make sure you read it, sign it,
and
I would
share
love it to be blown up today, that all kinds of people start signing, because, and the most important part, like you said, share.